My stepmom made me sleep in the garage for 2 years, now I'm about to graduate, and things are exploding. Hey Reddit, I'm 18F, and I'm about to graduate high school. But something happened recently that's torn my family apart, and I need to figure out if I'm in the wrong. Let me give you some background. My parents divorced when I was young, and I stayed with my dad in a pretty standard 3-bedroom house. My dad had the master, I had a decent-sized room, and there was a small guest room. Life was simple, normal. When I was 15, my dad remarried Chelsea, a woman in her 40s. She brought along 2 kids from her previous marriage, Dean, who was 16 then, just a year older than me, and Nora, who was 13. As they prepared to move in, we discussed room arrangements. Chelsea had her ideas. She insisted that since Dean was older and male, he should get a bigger room, and suggested he take my bedroom. Nora, being younger, deserved a cozy space, so she should get the guest room. My dad and Chelsea would share the master. That left me with nothing. They made it clear I was to sleep elsewhere. My dad looked uncomfortable when this was explained. He kept shifting and avoiding eye contact. Chelsea, ever cheerful, then suggested I sleep in the garage. She said it could be like my own little apartment or a cool teen den, promising they'd fix it up for me. My dad, who usually avoids conflict, nodded along. It'll be fun, he said softly. They cleared out some old rugs, a battered couch, a wobbly desk, and an ancient bookshelf. That was my room. It was uninsulated, detached from the house, and accessible only by stepping outside. No running water, no bathroom, just a concrete box filled with spiders, dust, and old gasoline smells from years of car work. In winter, it was freezing, even with a tiny space heater. In summer, it was an oven. The fan just circulated hot air. The place was drafty, dark, and often felt unsafe. I complained repeatedly. I'd tell my dad it was too cold, too hot, or that I'd find a spider in my shoe. His go-to was give it time, or Chelsea's trying her best. If Chelsea overheard or if my dad mentioned my complaints, she'd call me ungrateful, saying I should be grateful for my own space while Dean and Nora decorated their rooms inside the house with new bedding, posters, and furniture. Meanwhile, I was isolated. Family dinners became less frequent. When I stayed in the garage studying or trying to stay warm, Chelsea called me antisocial. I ate alone, heating leftovers in the kitchen, feeling more disconnected than ever. My schoolwork suffered because I couldn't concentrate in that environment. Cold hands, hot fatigue, poor lighting. Things got worse. Chelsea would take Dean and Nora out for ice cream or movies, never inviting me. Chores were uneven. She'd say I should do more yard work or take out trash, even though the main bins were closer to the house. The worst moment hit about a year after I moved into the garage. My heater broke during a brutal winter night. I was shivering, unable to sleep, wrapped in blankets, wearing my coat, hat, gloves. When I finally snuck into the living room to curl up on the couch, Chelsea found me the next morning, furious. She didn't ask if I was okay, just accused me of trying to cause trouble, claiming I broke the heater myself to make a scene. She called me dramatic, ungrateful, and tried to paint me as the villain. My dad, exhausted, just told me to go back to the garage and promise they'd fix the heater later. He told me to stop upsetting Chelsea. That was the breaking point. I snapped. I yelled that I was freezing, that the garage was unlivable, and that he always took her side. I yelled that she made my teenage years a misery, no concern for my comfort, health, or dignity. I told her she didn't deserve to be at my graduation, which was just weeks away. The day of graduation was a mess. My mom, who lives out of state, was coming to see me walk. I had one ticket for her, and one for my dad. When I told my dad about the tickets, he asked, "What about Chelsea? She needs one too." I told him flatly, "No. Only 2 tickets, one for you, one for Mom." His face darkened, and he called her part of the family, insisting I was being rude and disrespectful. I knew she'd hear about it. Sure enough, she confronted me in the kitchen. She was furious, crying, saying she'd tried so hard to make a blended family work, that I was ungrateful, and that I was trying to drive a wedge between her and my dad. She claimed I was living in the past, that I needed to forgive, and that she'd sacrificed so much. Her voice cracked as she accused me of trying to ruin their family celebration. That was my breaking point. I lost my temper. I yelled that she had no right to pretend to be a caring stepmom after making me sleep in a freezing garage for 2 years. I brought up the broken heater, the spiders, the heat and cold, and how I was treated like garbage. I told her she didn't care if I was sick or miserable, as long as her kids had their comfort. I yelled she had no right to share my achievement, and that she didn't deserve to be there. I was shouting, gesturing wildly. I was furious. My dad ran in, furious himself, demanding I respect Chelsea. He told me to apologize and let her come to the graduation. I looked at him and Chelsea, both crying or fuming, and I said, "No. She's not coming." Then I left the house, heading straight back to my garage, shivering and angry. Since then, he's been giving me the silent treatment, sighing loudly when I'm around, and demanding I fix this mess. Chelsea avoids me, but I hear her talking to my dad about me, angry whispers I can't quite catch. Dean and Nora act cold and distant. I just want out. I found a room with a friend's older sibling and plan to move out in a couple of days. Graduation is in 2 weeks. I'm finally leaving that house behind, ready to start fresh. I'm not inviting Chelsea. She made me sleep in a garage, and I'm not going to pretend everything's okay. Thanks for listening. If anything changes, I'll keep you posted.